Howdy, everybody, and welcome to Liberty Libations. I completely forgot to remove the Halloween music, and there's Stephen with the can opener. So yeah, next week there will be no Halloween music at the beginning of the episode.
I am drinking a beer called Blackberry Zombie White Ale, so
Okay,
maybe
we'll
I should
say
have
it was-
had that last week.
Yeah, we'll
There you
say it
go.
was in honor of that then.
A New Realm. That's a good beer.
All right. Well, today we've got Alden with a tilde joining us. We've got Zane Placie. We've got Stephen Hilton. We've got Chris. And introduce yourself, gay boy.
I'm Brent. Sorry about the screen name. I figured I'd just loosen it up on the rip.
Fair enough.
There we go.
All right. Well, thank y'all for joining us. Chris, can you tell folks who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, I'm Chris. Me and Brent and Steven grew up together in Brooks, a little South Georgia country right now. Out in the country, right?
There we go.
Best friends growing up. Heard that he had this, conversation with you guys every Thursday night. So I figured we have these conversations ourselves every Friday and Saturday night. So I might as well get on here and share everybody else that, let everybody else hear my opinion as well.
I love it. I love it. Brent, I take it your story is somewhat similar.
Yeah, pretty much, man. We all grew up together, just raising hell, dude, and we just bullshit around or bullcrap around.
Dude, this is not a family-friendly show. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, you
Okay,
said you
yeah. Yeah, man, we've raised hell for a long time, and we don't all agree on everything, but we're best friends, man. It's a great group, and we've been listening. I don't listen as much as I'd like to, but yeah, Steve was like, why don't y'all come on? I was like, I don't know, man. It's kind of a shy thing. I was like, you're going live.
That's true. Fortunately, it's not Rogan, so we're not getting millions of views. So
yeah.
Don't gotta be that worried. And
What?
our
Not
audience
yet.
is mostly
Not yet.
animals. They turn this on, like farmers turn this on for their animals and stuff like that. So it's not actually humans.
Dude,
Watch.
I like animals.
Let's see. All right, y'all. Well, start off. If anybody's interested in joining the Libertarian Party of Georgia, go ahead on over to lpgeorgia.com to learn more about our principles, what we believe in, what we're doing around the state of Georgia. If you're not in Georgia, go to lp.org to learn more about the Libertarian National Party. Yeah, should we just kick it off with our first story? I've got Zach, I'll share the first one. I didn't get it to you in time, so let me go ahead and share it. Let's see. All right. I believe Mr. Stephen Hilton sent this to me and wants to discuss it. So what do we got here, Stephen?
There we go. Okay, so we're bringing up entitlements. And by entitlements, we're talking about, not just the general sense of you feel like you're entitled to something, but it's what the government pays out. Where does our money go? What is the government really supposed to be for, and what is it actually doing now, or at least what does it say it's doing? Yes, now there are 3 feds, exactly.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
We've now been fully infiltrated. But it's just an interesting pie chart to look at because, everyone talks about, the defense budget. The U.S. spends more on their military than all the other countries in the world combined. And yes, that's true, but that is by far not the biggest pie piece on that chart.
Correct.
We're talking about, health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. You got within that the WIC and the food stamps and the EBT and all that kind of stuff. Social Security. Each of those is almost twice as big as our defense budget.
Yeah.
So if that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. And then not only that, but it's still not even getting the job done. So we've got a military that's big enough and strong enough to blow the rest of the planet off the face of the planet, and we're spending a combined total of more than 3 times that here at home, and it ain't enough. How much is enough?
So does this count with the bond yields going the way they are and inflation is? Because they keep raising the bond yields, so when people buying these bond yields, our debt is at this point. Because I think the IRS reported the highest revenue of taxpayers last year ever in history, which of course happens every year, but we're drowning in it now to where we're writing bonds, and then their bond yields are going higher, and we got to pay those for the people that bought the bonds.
Right.
That's
So how does this work out like in that? Because this goes into like I guess the budget on like when when the government shuts down because the budget ain't right or whatever, and they're trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zane, I think that one's up your alley, man. Because is that the interest on debt portion?
Yeah, so you can see here in this pie chart for our listeners that the interest on debt is 10%. So as we keep going into more and more debt, I think this year we're on track to add like 4 or 5 trillion in additional debt. And as we keep going more and more into debt, and as the interest rate on that debt goes higher, that interest on debt piece is going to get larger and larger compared to everything else.
That's scary, man.
Yeah, and there's really no way to stop that from happening. Am I correct?
There's not.
Yeah.
Unless you cut spending, which I know the Democrats, they don't care. And even the Republicans, they care. But like they're talking about pulling money from like the IRS and the Green New Deal, which would be ideal to, afford this war we're about to be in. But it's still, I mean, that's money we don't have, and they're going to print it. And it's like, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just printed another 1.2 trillion these past 2 weeks for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan,
Right,
and a couple other things. So yeah, I mean, they're just not going to stop spending. Like,
yeah,
even when the Republicans are in power, they don't really stop spending.
they don't stop spending, but they cut it from other governments. So they don't like expand government. The only good thing about that is they do like shrink it in a way, but that's the only thing.
What they always do is pass some bill that shrinks it 10 years from now, but grows it today. So
and then even then, it's like executive.
And then the next year, they always say, we're going to delay the shrinking part.
Well, it's an executive order, so like you get someone else in, and then that executive order is like thrown out, and it just.
That's exactly what they do. I mean, that's what Trump did because Obama was out of control. More executive orders than any president before him. All this kind of stuff, and he was ruling by fiat. He was a fiat dictator. All he was doing was passing executive orders, creating these oversight committees. These czars that he appointed to oversee various key pieces of industry in the country. All this kind of stuff. Oh, it's overstepping. And then Trump gets in, and what does he do? He appoints czars, and he passes executive orders. His first batch of executive orders threw Obama's executive orders out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just we don't
the administration. It's you went forward, but you could also go backward. The administration before was kind of the same thing, different flavor, and it was like just in my lifetime, it's been like we either have like the Republicans that are like we need to go to war for X reason in this place or whatever, against the backing of like the UN or whatever, and then now fast forward, now it's like the Democrats that want war or whatever. So there's spending coming from each side, depending on what your motive is, your quote unquote reasons are, and those will change. But the bottom line is just that money is going out to wars to different places for different reasons.
Yeah, and Grumpy makes a good point.
What did he say?
He said, "Explain the Space Force."
I was just talking about
Space created the Space Force during his term.
Yeah,
that definitely didn't shrink much.
No.
I saw a really funny ad this morning on Skynet when I was doing my browsing, and it showed a screw floating in space or a bolt. And it says, "When does a bolt become a missile? When it's orbiting at 17,500 miles per hour." And then it goes, Space Force.
Well, actually, a missile becomes a missile when it's guided. Anything before that, it's a rocket.
There we go.
That's totally fair.
I made that exact point to somebody the other day. I was like, what is the difference between a missile and a rocket? And that's what I settled on. And I'm glad.
Yeah.
I was.
Missiles are guided. Rockets are just like you light it off in your hand, just let it go.
There you go.
I don't advise that whatsoever.
I mean, depends on how big it is.
Fair enough. Chris and Brent, y'all being guests on the show, like I know the political background of Alden, Zane, and Steven for the most part. Can y'all give brief intro to y'all's political backgrounds?
Go ahead, Brent.
God, I don't know, man. I'm just a guy. Like I work my ass off. I'm back at like kind of paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
like got in a good way. And I don't know. I guess I mean I'm on the right side, but I have beliefs and like kind of a little bit. I'm just mixed up, you know.
Hey, that
Like
sounds
big Second Amendment, obviously. I'm not obviously, but because I ain't got guns like strapped to me right now. But you know, I don't know. It's just
fair.
I don't know. I mean, I vote Republican. How about that?
Okay.
But
Yeah. I mean,
it's one of those things. I'm like, God, I don't want Trump to be on the ticket because it doesn't make sense to me.
mhm.
But it don't look like we have much of a choice at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, for me, like I didn't even vote in the last presidential election because I didn't like any of the candidates.
Right.
So like, even though I am a pretty staunch libertarian, I hated our candidate, so I didn't vote.
Yeah, I give Eric von Hessler shit about that. He just quit voting.
I didn't vote last time either, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a thing, and I definitely just don't. I personally don't believe in voting just for the sake of it. I don't believe in selecting the lesser of two evils or three evils or five evils or whatever.
We
So-
differ. That'll be where we differ.
Okay. All right.
That's pretty simple.
When you were talking, I was gonna ask if you had more. Do you find yourself voting Republican because of that, like lesser of two evils concept a little bit sometimes? And would you prefer a better candidate? You know?
Are you talking to me?
Oh yeah, I'm talking to Gay Boy over here. Yeah.
Gay boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Brent.
Yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because like, if you vote for like, say you say the lesser of two evils, I mean, if you vote, say you lean right or left, and you want right values, why would you not vote at all and just waste it away? Then I know you vote for the guy on the right. He may have like two or three things that you agree with, but it's at least one or two things you agree with, opposed to the guy on the left that you don't agree with a damn thing he says.
Mm-hmm.
Or one, like you can weigh those options. And to me, I just feel like it's a waste of vote. A lot of people say it don't matter, but you know, it's just how I feel.
No, that's
I was
okay.
brought up to like, you vote, man, because in other countries, you're pretty much like, hey, if you don't vote for us, your whole family is going to die, kind of thing. Like, we're nowhere near there, obviously, but
Hallelujah.
I just feel like if I vote for what's leaning towards my side, I mean, but to me, when presidential wise, it don't matter. It's your local elections that are really going to matter.
Yeah.
Like
This is why we do something like in the Libertarian Party when we're voting for our candidates, because we determine our candidates based on convention. We have a third. There's always one extra option, which is none of the above, and so that's what like I would very much love to have in like the presidential race is Joe Biden, Donald Trump, none of the above. And if none
What
of the
happens
above
if
wins, then there is no president.
That's what I was just gonna say. What happens if that gets the majority?
Yep.
That's fun.
Then there would be
Anarchism.
Yep. Then
I'm about to say, I mean, I guess, I mean, because he's still got the, you know, the electoral college that would vote.
Mm,
fair.
The majority
That's fair.
doesn't really win.
Yeah, that is.
It
true.
does, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
That's where
I
majority is not
can
always
see
a
where you're
plurality.
coming. Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from because the logic of voting for the lesser of two evils is essentially it's an act of self-defense. If I've got one person coming at me who's going to steal $10 and another person coming at me that's going to steal $100, then yeah, I'll choose the lesser evil, which is the guy stealing $10.
Yeah.
All politicians and governments are people coming up to me and stealing my money. So I can understand why it, like, as just but the act of voting does not legitimize the act of voting as a good thing to do. Like, I don't hold it against people who
Yeah,
don't
it was
vote.
like you either hijack
And
my
it-
car or my house. You know, which one's more valuable?
Yeah, and sometimes you're right. It probably is a waste of time to vote. Obviously, if you're a libertarian, you would need to help us with our ballot access and vote libertarian. I've got some people that would not be happy with me if I was encouraging libertarians to not vote. So
Right.
please vote libertarian if you're going to vote. I won't hold it against you if you don't vote at all. But there is a legit argument. As long as, like, if the two evils are 1% different from each other, maybe you have to be like, no, you're both evil. I'm not taking any part of this. You both stink. But if there's a meaningful difference, maybe you can, opt for the lesser robber.
Well, you want me to be honest with y'all?
No,
The
course,
libertarians,
I don't lie about it, Brent.
the only people that have ever reached out to me or I've even talked to about the Libertarian Party is Stephen Hilton
That's true.
Right on.
and Eric Von Hessler that I heard on the radio that just browsed by.
Yep. And
That's it. There's no reach out at all.
Dude, I hear you, man. We
And that's to me. That's y'all. I'm not shooting y'all down, but y'all there's a lot of complaining about we don't get this. We're not going to vote for anybody because of this because we can't get stages for debate and stuff. Which that's all bullshit either way. But yeah, there's no outreach at all. Which honestly, I'm gonna tell you this too. I haven't got outreach of any Republicans or Democratic, so it's just kind of a known thing for the other two parties. But yeah, no one's ever really talked to me.
Yeah.
The thing with outreach is that the current total membership of the Libertarian Party of Georgia is about 300 people. So obviously, if you're listening to this, you should definitely join and make that one higher. But when you've got a team of 300 people for the whole state,
there's no way it's just 300
we're doing
people.
as much outreach as we can. I know I'm the state secretary. I know about the membership. It's
dues paying members, card carrying dues paying members. Yeah, it's that low.
It's like 320.
Yeah.
Yep. And so the number of people who actually vote Libertarian is definitely higher, but there are not that many members, which means there are not going to be that many people that actually are able to do outreach. And so I don't know how many millions of people are in Georgia, but for 300 people to get to all 15 million or whatever in Georgia.
So how many people actually vote Libertarian in Georgia?
Depends on the election. So this past election cycle, all of our candidates got between 2 and 5% of the vote, with the exception of the governor's race, which almost everyone voted Republican or Democrat.
Right. Because they think like me, I guess. I would think. Yeah. Less of the evil kind of thing.
To be fair, Stacey Abrams would have been the worst.
Because that's a hard number to chase when. Yeah. I guess on the ballot. So when you go to vote, what is it you're Democratic or Republican? Can you do other and do Libertarian?
Yeah. You tell them you're independent, you get all of them. That's the cool thing about Georgia. Yeah. So other states make you register as one or the other.
Yeah.
You go there in Georgia and they go, you Democrat or Republican, independent, and you get everybody.
Yep.
On your ballot.
Yep.
But what I was asking is why wouldn't there be a Libertarian tag to where y'all could really find demographics and numbers?
Well, because we're lumped in with independent because we pull less than
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
And so the process is long. It's going to take forever. So I'm personally a member of something called the Mises Caucus within the Libertarian Party. And what the Mises Caucus did the past couple of years was basically take over the Libertarian Party because we weren't happy with the direction we were going. We weren't happy with the outreach, the message, all that kind of stuff. And so basically starting mid last year is when we started kind of rebuilding the party and having new goals and trying to do outreach.
Hell yeah, dude.
Focus far more.
Staged a coup.
Staged a coup.
Dude, throw him over.
Coup.
You got a good guy in your corner, man. Steven's that dude, he's a workaholic. He's on your corner.
Yes, he is. The dude's a beast.
Chris, were you saying something a minute ago?
No, I was. I didn't know. I was begging to get in that conversation, but I'm new to this kind of podcast video thing.
Interrupt people, Chris.
I didn't know if I could
introduce
myself. So I'm are they just talking to Brent, or can I just bug in?
No, dude, Chris.
I'll do it for you. I saw you trying to talk, man. I'll clear a path for you here.
Yeah, man. So me, I am not a news guy. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to Fox News. I don't listen to anything. I live out in the middle of nowhere by myself.
BFE.
My next neighbor is 10 acres over.
Nice.
I listen to sports radio, to tell you the truth, 90% of the time, which you can probably see in the background.
Yeah,
that's fake news too.
Yeah.
I've got strong beliefs.
No, get that shit off of there.
I've got strong beliefs, but it's really all based on me and my family. It's
Yeah.
not really based on of what this people are saying or what CNN is saying or even Tucker Carlson or anybody. It's based strictly off of me. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like you can try to get me to do whatever, but I'm going to fold back to what I always do. And that's taking care of me and my family.
It's hard to argue with that.
I love that, man. And I got to say, there have been a number of studies and polls, and the happiest people are the ones that pay zero attention to anything happening in the news.
I didn't know where that was going, but I believe that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And I personally think it was how we were wired from the beginning. Like, we were never meant to try to take on the problems of an entire
whole
nation
world?
or an entire world. We're only presented with all of these things once the internet became so popular and used by everybody. And now we have to think about what's happening in friggin' Israel or
there's scope
Ukraine.
and scale, and then there's also nonstop the 24-hour news cycle barrage. Like, it's time of how much it happens.
And then just
to
made up crap that isn't actually true.
Well,
It's
that's
so bad.
fair. Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy. Well, thanks for sharing where y'all come from. I appreciate it. And we're this show. We like to have anybody on who just likes to talk about this stuff. We're not, we're not going to totally attack you or anything. Just a little bit here and there.
That's right.
a friendly jab,
All right. Well, before we keep going, don't know if y'all know this, but we do a little trivia each week. So we're going to do that right now.
Damn it.
That was so perfect. That was the best.
Hilarious.
Oh, man. All right.
I'm glad he got that in right before the segue.
That was great. I'm going to listen to that back. I'm going to try to clip that
that's how I feel, honestly, because Zane's going to win anyway. So
Zane does win. So it's hard for anybody else to even try at this point. All right.
I'm doing so much winning. I'm almost getting tired of winning. That's
Zane, I'm just going to ban you from this podcast. That's what's going to happen. All right, y'all. Libations trivia. The categories are This Day in History, World Series, and the Presidents. Let's see. The rules are round 1, 10 questions, 1 point each. Round 2, 5 questions, 2 points each. Round 3, 3 questions, 3 points each. To answer a question, you have to basically reach your hand to your camera. All right. So Alden has trouble with this. He has to practice every single week.
I was
Gonna be the font, and I'm screwed. I can't read that.
You don't have to read anything. I read it to you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And first person to cover their camera with their hand gets called on. And if then it goes in sequence from there as to who selected first. If you blurt out an answer when it's not your turn, you lose a point. If a contestant answers, they cannot answer again until everybody has answered once. And the winner is no longer a loser. So there you go. Zane is killing everybody with 11 wins. Nick has 4. Alden has 4. Steve has 3. Guests have only won twice. And it was my brother one time and my sister-in-law the other time.
Yeah.
And then the audience has won once. And Zane, you want to tell them why?
No.
Okay.
Because he was in the audience.
Yeah, why should I explain it when Steven will just explain it for me?
That's right.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. Let me add a few people to the scoreboard this week. Here we go.
God, This Day in History. All right.
Uh-oh.
This Day in History. Okay. Question number 1. Let me get there. Apologies. On this day in 1947, which plane/flying boat piloted by Howard Hughes took off for the first and last time? Zane.
That would be the Spruce Goose.
You're such an ass. Oh my gosh.
I didn't even do anything that time.
That had nothing to do with Top Gun, right?
Sadly, no. All right. Question number 2. On this day in 1908, which team won their first World Series, snapping a supposed curse? Hang on. Let me pause.
Steven hit.
On this day in 2016, which team won their first World Series since 1908, snapping a supposed curse? Steven.
Red Sox.
Incorrect. Who's next?
It was me.
Alden.
Cubs.
It's the Chicago Cubs. There you go.
Damn it.
I apologize. I messed that one
Chris,
up.
you should have known that one.
Dude, I'm a sports guy. I didn't get it, so I guess I ain't worth a damn.
Well, the second round is all World Series stuff. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go make a sandwich for that round.
I figured I told Nikki you'd hate that round. So.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised they got the Cubs one.
On this day in 1963, which country's president was captured and killed during a coup? Alden.
South Vietnam.
Wow.
Nice.
Damn.
Of
What?
Alden. Yeah,
All right.
he is
63.
correct.
I mean, that's what was going on.
Yeah, that's very
He was
true.
there.
Double
I was there.
tax.
Yeah.
On this day in 1777, the USS Ranger set sail across the Atlantic to raid British warships. Who was its captain? Zane.
John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones is correct.
The
did not-
bassist
This
for
is
Led
ridiculous.
Zeppelin.
I did not think anybody would get that. That is
Wow.
really frustrating. Okay. On this day in 1960, a landmark obscenity case ends in London, allowing which book to be released in its entirety? Zane.
Lady Chatterley's lover.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
I know. Zane might have to be banned from trivia. This is ridiculous.
I was gonna do a wild guess and say this.
I was going to say the Bible.
The Bible. That's a rough look, man.
Has he got like a like the book with the answers in the back, like I did when
No, dude, this guy's like ridiculous smart.
Yeah, that book was released in 1928, a censored re-release in 1932, and then they took it to court until 1959 in the U.S. and 60 in the U.K.
That's crazy.
It's friggin' ridiculous. All right, let's see. Question number 6. On this day in the year 2000, what location received its first residential crew?
Residential what?
Crew. Crew. C-R-E-W. The audience already got it. It
San
is
Francisco.
Oh.
International Space Station.
Oh man,
Oh,
I couldn't yeah, that makes sense. God dang it.
When you said what place, I was like, is this like a? I was like, and then what does the crew mean? Like, I was totally thrown on that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good one.
you got to think outside the box. On this day in 1949, the Netherlands signed the Hague Agreement to end the conflict over which Asian countries proclaimed independence? Alden.
Indonesia.
All right,
Indonesia is correct.
nice.
Yeah.
Bravo. All right. Question number 8. On this day in 1936, which corporation launched the world's first regular television service? Alden.
BBC.
BBC is correct. How about that? Yeah. Question number 9. On this day in 1917, the British issued what statement of support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people? Zane.
I feel like this is kind of cheating since we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but the Balfour Declaration.
You are correct. It is the Balfour Declaration. And it is not cheating. I came up with the daggum question. All right. Final question of round 1. On this day in 1889, which 2 states were admitted to the U.S. as the 39th and 40th states? Alden.
The Dakotas.
The Dakotas is correct.
Wow.
Bravo, Alden.
Good job.
Otherwise known in North and South Dakota.
Yeah, I figured you knew what they were.
Yeah.
Round number 2. Okay.
East and
round
West
1.
Dakota.
There we go. After round 1,
Up and
Alden
down
has
Dakota.
5, Zane has 4, audience has 1, and everybody else has 0.
I like up and down Dakota. That's good.
Up and down Dakota.
We can do like Egypt and upper and lower, but they'll have to flip them, you know.
Alden, I think it's time for you to go make a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Which 2 players share the record for most home runs in a single World Series game? Alden.
Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle.
All right. Alden got one of them. He gets
Really?
1 point. Babe Ruth is a correct answer. Zane?
Hank Aaron.
No. Steven?
Barry Bonds.
Nope. Brent and Chris, it's open to y'all.
Oh
now.
yeah, I'll let
Brent?
Freddie Freeman.
Nope.
No,
Chris, it's yours.
Dude.
is it God damn, what's the name? Mr. November. Reggie Jackson?
It is Reggie freaking Jackson.
Nice.
Fuck yeah, Chris.
How about
That's what's
that?
up. He's coming. Wake up, buddy. Wake up.
There
Got
we
you.
go.
I was sitting there
Mr.
thinking,
November.
I know
Mr.
this.
November. Yeah. All right. Question number
So
2.
are the balls that go into the stadium then called November Rain?
Oh,
Good Lord. That was terrible. What year was the curse of the Bambino broken when the Boston Red Sox won the World Series? Zane.
1998.
All right. What was everybody's guesses? I forgot to tell y'all, when it's a number, everybody gets one guess. Alden.
92.
Okay. Steven.
1997.
Okay. Brent.
You said Red Sox?
Yeah, when the Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino and won the World Series.
89.
Chris.
I got to think about it for a minute because I was confused. I was like way back in time, like at like 1946, but now all y'all are up in like.
Dude, don't listen to me. I don't know shit about this.
I don't either.
I said Babe Ruth and I got a point because that's Babe Ruth. Man. That's like, yeah.
He always guesses Babe Ruth for
Yeah.
baseball questions.
I guess I'm going to go like 2002.
I would have gone high just to.
All right, you're going to
Hedge
split
a
it
bet.
with the audience. It is 2004.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
there we go. Yeah, it happened while I was in high school.
Me too.
Same here.
Are we all
high
now
school 04?
aging ourselves? Yeah.
I thought we graduated together.
I was a freshman then.
Yeah.
All right. What team has won the most World Series championships? Zane.
Has to be the Yankees, right?
It is 100%
Yeah.
Yankees with 20 freaking 7.
I should have. It's Babe Ruth or the Yankees are my two answers that I should go to.
Yeah. Jackie
Should have
Chan.
known. Yeah, and
Jackie Chan. What year did the first official World Series take place? And everybody gets one guess. Closest wins.
There you go.
Chris?
1918.
All right.
1919.
Alden?
19. I don't know if I should go up or down. 17? I'll go 17.
Yes.
Hey, don't listen to me.
I'll take $1, Bob.
Steven and Zane.
All right.
Steven.
1907.
Okay.
Damn, all right.
1906.
We all went lower.
Zane wins. It's 1903.
Wow. All right.
All right. Final question of round 2. Bob Gibson holds the record for which statistical category, accomplishing this task 17 times during a World Series game in 1968? Brent,
Strikeouts.
you got it.
That's what. Oh, no way. I was like going to joke and say that. Like it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Damn.
All right. After 2 rounds, Steven is the caboose with 0. Brent, Chris, and the audience all have 2.
Yes.
Alden has 6, and Zane has 8.
That's
I love that
ridiculous.
Steven's like,
You can like just turn up another beer.
Yeah,
So
I'm here.
technically speaking, everybody can still win because third round is 3 points each, and if you get all 3, Steven, you can win. Same with you,
no.
Brent, Chris, and the audience.
All right.
Here we go. These are just heights. These are just heights of presidents.
Oh my.
why?
Because I thought it would be funny.
It is funny.
Okay. Okay, and you have to get both of them. I will not give you partial credit. You have to get both.
You
of
have
them.
to guess dick length, and height.
Who was the tallest president, and how tall was he? Zane.
Abraham Lincoln, 6'6".
Incorrect. Alden.
Abraham Lincoln, 6'5".
Incorrect. I believe it was Chris next.
Abraham Lincoln, 6'7".
Incorrect. Steven.
William Taft, 6'7".
Incorrect. Brent.
Abraham Lincoln, 6'4".
That is correct.
Damn.
What?
Abraham Lincoln, 12'5".
William Taft was huge. 'cause
Well,
they
he had a
didn't have
freaking
to
top
fight
hat
him
on
back.
every time, so he thought he was like,
See, are we measuring with or without the top hat?
right.
Fair. Was he ever measured without the hat? I need a recount.
That's a good question.
No, it's
Were they
sewn
using
into
the
his
same
scalp.
measurements back in the day? That's the real question.
Well,
All
he
right.
never lied about his height.
Oh, totally. Question number 2. Who was the shortest president, and how short was he?
Yeah.
Zane.
James Madison,
Oh.
5'4".
Yeah. Oh,
That is correct.
Oh my God!
Wow.
What?
Wow. You knew the shortest one. Why is that?
they're doing
Zane?
trivia section right now.
Wait, should
Well,
it be Roosevelt?
I also
'cause he
knew the
was
tallest
sitting?
one. I just got the height wrong by 2 inches.
Yeah, but you knew the shortest and how short he was. Why? Why did you know that?
Why?
Well,
Why, Zane?
it was a lucky guess. I thought what would be the height of a short man?
5'4" is pretty legit.
I
5'4"
think
is
it's.
pretty dang short.
I
Yeah.
think it's Roosevelt because he was always sitting.
Oh,
That's true.
man.
It's too soon. Too soon.
Too soon.
I agree with him.
All right. Final question of the day. What is the average height of the president, and how many presidents were taller than the average?
Is
Zane?
that a 2-part question?
Yep. You got to
Um,
get both for me to
I'll
get
go
it correct.
6 foot for the average, and I'll say 23 were taller than that.
Incorrect. Alden.
5'10", 19.
Incorrect. Steven.
5'8" and 17.
Nope. Chris.
I'm going to go 5, 10, and 17.
And all of them were tall.
Brent.
Damn it. 5, 9, and 23.
Okay. Incorrect. Now I got to give a hint, and I don't
Hmm.
really know how to give a hint without giving this away.
How tall in hands? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's less than 6 feet, more than most people said 17, so it's more than 17.
Mm.
Zane,
5'11", 21.
wrong. Alden,
I was gonna say 5, 10, 20. Wait, what did I say? You said 20.
5, 10, 20?
Just don't
5,
say
10,
5,
and
12.
20.
40, 80.
Steven.
I'm going to go
Alden,
5,
that was
10,
incorrect.
5, 10,
Okay.
and 19.
Incorrect. Chris.
5'11", and 20.
Okay, I'm going to start saying you got half right, but it's up to y'all to determine which half.
I think, Jake, you should just pick the winner at this point. Like, who got closer?
If you got that close.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Someone
should we-
had to be.
All right, should we do the closest, I guess? All right.
From what we said, yeah.
What's everybody's final? Your Zane, what was yours? 5 what?
5'11", and 21.
Okay. Alden, what was yours?
I think I said 5, 10, and 20, or yeah, 5, 10,
5,
20.
10, 20. Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, what was yours?
5'11", and 20.
All right.
Mine was like 5, 9, and 23.
5, 9, 23. Okay. Steven?
I said 5, 10, and 19.
5, 10, and 19.
We were close.
All right. So the answer is 5'11" and 24.
Damn it, does Zane get it?
Well, if you put me and Chris together,
2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I got the 5'11" part. So, I mean, first.
So technically speaking, it's a tie. Who said 5'9" and 23?
Me.
Brent. So it's a tie between Brent and Zane.
Dang it.
You each get one
Duel
point
to the
back.
death.
All right. Well, sadly, I have to click on this stupid thing again. All right. Well, thank y'all for playing. I should have come up with a better final question because that was stupid. My bad, everybody.
Was that a ChatGPT question?
ChatGPT is not that dumb. That's all.
Yeah.
me.
If you don't pay for it, it is.
That's fair. It's not
That question was a
great.
tall order.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, yeah. Should we talk more about entitlements, or should we go into a different subject?
Well, I'm about to entitle myself to a piss break. I'll be right back.
All right. We'll see you in a bit. Just make sure you do
Yeah,
it
I
on
mean,
camera.
Yes.
I could talk about entitlements all night, but I
Well,
doubt
no,
anybody really.
I'll
wants
give
to
y'all
hear
my
that.
OnlyFans before I do that, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect.
I haven't even gotten started. Y'all did the entitlements on Brent's like intro,
There you
Yeah.
go.
so I like try to get in the whole time. But like they hadn't like even heard my point of view yet. So I
There you
can't.
go. This was the one you threw at me. So let's hear it. There we go.
All right.
We're gonna like talk about a single one or just in general.
Well, what's one that you'd like to focus on? Like what's one that irks you or you think is necessary?
I think mine is welfare, Medicaid, and food stamps.
Okay. And you think they're necessary or completely unnecessary?
I think they're necessary for some, but unnecessary for the majority.
Okay.
What a balanced answer.
That's a very balanced answer. Let's name the three again, real quick.
All right, put me on the spot. I'm just
You
kidding.
said welfare, Medicaid,
food
food
stamps,
stamps.
welfare. Yeah.
Okay, so what is it about welfare? We'll start with welfare. What is it about welfare that makes you think it's suitable for some and not for others?
I think all three that I named are grouped into the same category with me.
Okay.
I believe that we have raised a generation of victims, and they are being continuing to breed victims based off of what we're giving them, if that makes any sense. So to break it down a little bit further, if your mother is on food stamps, welfare, and Medicaid growing up, then I don't know if this is Zane probably will tell me with the statistics, but I'm guessing that their kids are probably more likely to be on food stamps, welfare, and Medicaid as adults as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah. I mean that makes logical sense for sure, like 100%. So, okay, Zane, what would be the libertarian argument to abolish all three of those?
Yeah, so if we think about the world, pre-Great Society, before we had all of these welfare programs, you have a very rich tradition of civil and religious societies coming in and being essentially the social safety net, but doing it a lot better than the government does. So like even going back to like Scotland in the 1500s, they would have these social gatherings called ales, where they would all come together and help, a newly married couple build a house or somebody who is sick. They would do this. And the English actually made them stop doing it when they took over Scotland, because they wanted the state to be the sole entity that was providing welfare, because they knew that if communities were doing it themselves, that's something that strengthens the community. So in the U.S., we had all these civic organizations. I don't know if you're familiar with Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville, but he was a philosopher that did a lot of writing about early 19th century America. And he was noting how for every social problem that existed in America, there were all of these civic societies that would just decide we're going to do something about this, and they would put their time and energy and money together into solving that problem. And as early 20th century, where you'd have lots of immigrants that were coming into America, all very poor, but the various ethnic groups of immigrants would all be creating their own societies and their own, network of helping the new immigrants that had just gotten there. So you were getting a lot of help and a lot of community integration through that way. So like during the Great Depression, it was really bad, obviously, but nobody in the U.S. starved during the Great Depression. Despite there not being any welfare because of how robust the social networks were because of the private charity. So like when the Great Society was introduced, Lyndon Johnson was all like, well, we need to make sure that everybody is getting these welfare benefits, so the state's going to do it. But if you have the option of, if your only option for welfare is going to your local church or going to your local civic society, there is some accountability there where people will help you, but they're also going to get involved in your life and make sure that you're making the right choices and you're not just going to squander the help that you get and continue to be a loser. But if you then come in and the government gives you aid without any accountability and in fact incentivizes you to make bad decisions, welfare incentivizes you to not get married if you're a single mother, because then your welfare check goes down, and incentivizes you to have even more children while you're not married, because then your welfare check goes up. It's doing the exact reverse of what charity should do, which is improve you. So government charity does nothing except tear down the entire social network that was there, which I would say is part of the point, which is the omnipotent state wants you to depend on nobody except the state, because then you'll have no one to rely on outside of the state. And that's what they want.
Well,
and
in return, you'll vote for them.
The stated goal of actually helping people and getting them out of poverty.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's
Do you think
crazy.
we can? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's pretty crazy how that works. Because I mean, it's just a vicious cycle at that point, to where it's you're in it's a downward spiral.
Yeah,
and then the people are there.
Go ahead, Alden.
Can we get back though? So like if we knew how to do it at one point, but we've been so long without it and we've been relying on the government
point. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, can we get back?
Brian. So Brian says abolishing welfare. This is something that's definitely misunderstood about the Libertarian Party, about how we want to abolish a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
He says abolishing welfare would not happen at the snap of the fingers. In reality, either society would have time to adjust, especially the kind of society that actually would abolish it.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
And so like I think what's misunderstood is people think that like if a libertarian became president tomorrow and did everything that the libertarians want him to do, then immediately welfare would go away. Immediately Medicaid would go away. That's not exactly how it would happen. It would happen over the period of a decade, maybe two.
That's what I was thinking.
Like
10 or 20.
You have this off ramp where you have this schedule where those allotments slowly go down and eventually go to zero. Let's see.
I mean, the thing with Medicare is it's a bit different because it's an entitlement that people have paid into, which is actually why I think Social Security and Medicare are not only wrong and inefficient, but truly evil. But maybe that's a rant for another time.
Maybe it's a rant for right now, Zane.
If you
What's up?
If
What's
you say
up,
I can, I will. What was that?
So the problem with it now is with the homelessness and everything else like that. The problem is the people that head these homeless, like the people in government right now get paid millions of dollars to like fix the homeless problem.
Yes.
And if it goes away, guess what? They don't get paid anymore. So they just like put all this stuff out there to help them. And it does some good, but why would they make it? They can't, if they fixed it, they wouldn't have a job anymore.
Not to.
So that's why it will never go away.
That's exactly right. And like
it'll never go away.
It's kind of like
and they're making millions of dollars.
Yes. TSA was formed in like 2002, 2003. And like the libertarian position back then was we need to stop this from happening and abolish the TSA. Well, then once it was established, the argument against them was, do you want all these people to lose their jobs?
Yes, right.
These jobs were created for reasons that we don't need and aren't necessary, and they're a tax burden on every single human in the United States. And so that's exactly
I think Chris
what
wanted to hop in here.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
I guess my question, like, I listened to Zane, but I heard him say charity a lot, like in his, what he was talking about a minute ago. But what point of my tax dollars that come out of my pocket is charity? I don't get to write that off as charity. Like, if I go to church and I give the church amount of money, then I get to submit that statement as tax dollars that it gets written off for me. But Medicaid and all these things you're speaking of comes out of my check without me having any say so about it.
And
so
you don't get to allocate it to
not
where
charity.
you want it. Yeah.
At that point.
That's exactly right. And my response to you was more focused on what would traditionally be called like welfare. So like just I can't think of the name of any particular program, but programs that aren't Social Security and Medicare, so things that you don't pay into.
Rental assistance, utility assistance.
Yeah, all of that. So with Social Security and Medicare in particular, this is why I said earlier that they're evil, because they're set up in a way that you can never get rid of them. Because even if everybody agreed, this is stupid, we just want to invest our own retirement money, we don't need the state doing it, you can't just get rid of it, because then you'll screw over all of the 62-year-olds that have paid into it their whole life, and now might get nothing. In my personal opinion, the best way of handling this would be to auction off a bunch of government property, refund everybody their Social Security contributions, and then end the program. And do the same thing with Medicare.
Well, not necessarily like that, but also like welfare, as far as like, I know people go as far as saying like, well, if they're on welfare, then could they not like take a drug test like a lot of people do to go to work every day to get a paycheck? I mean,
that's reasonable. You know, hey, why don't our legislators have to take one? You know, we're the
right? Or people in the White House that drop their cocaine baggies.
Yeah.
You know,
like, I mean,
patrol. You know, the traffic police. Like, where's their drug test?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Brian says the conceptual wars are endless, practically by definition. War on poverty, war on drugs, war on terror. Yep.
Yeah.
And Zach says leave Hunter alone.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris?
Nah, man. I guess this is where my rant comes in, man. I know.
Come on.
All the time, man. This is my strong belief, and I don't know. This conservative is more just me, like I told you from day one, me and my family. I don't believe that anybody deserves anything. If you look
the opposite of entitlement,
if you look in nature and the rest of God's creation, then if a baby deer has a limp leg, does all the other creatures in nature bring food to them, or do they eat it? Right? I mean, that's a shitty thing to say, right? But even as Americans and people come here, we have already done way more than that and provided that. And what happened with that is that people started taking advantage of that. And now we end up where we're at now. And so I've talked to Stephen and Brent about this on many occasions, and the only solution I would have that's even remotely humane would be to give every mother with children that's on welfare and Medicaid and food stamps, you pay for their school for 2 years. And you let them know you have 2 years. I'm going to keep giving you this level of housing and Medicaid and food stamps. And you have 2 years. I'm going to pay for your school. And after 2 years, after us paying for your school, if you can't support yourself and your family, then that's on you. It's not on us at that point. We've already given you more than you are entitled to, right? And this is about entitlement. We've already given you more than we should have to give you. I shouldn't have to do that. But we will. And after 2 years, if you can't, with me paying for your school, me paying for your house, or not me personally, but the government, food and everything else, if you can't put the work and the effort in to provide for your own family, then why should I continue to have to? Why should we keep spending decades and keep raising more people that are entitled, that are going to go down the same path, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. You're going to have to cut it off, and you can't cut it off all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give people an option to get out. And a lot of the way to do that is give them an ultimatum. Listen.
That can be a good motivator sometimes, depending on the situation. The time motivator.
It's a straight up like survival of the fittest. Like, here we go.
I might be just ignorant on how it works, but like, is there like do you have to reapply like once you're like in a welfare program or food stamp or something?
I've had a friend before in recent past, in the last 5-6 years. Brent and Chris know these folks, but they had to sign up for food stamps. They hit hard times. Unemployment for a little while. There was a brief stint. The man of the house was without a job for about a month and a half. And they went back and tried to turn off the food stamps. And the lady at the office said, "That's a whole pile of paperwork, honey. Just take your 6 months and ride with it."
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?" He was like, "But I have gainful employment. Like, I'm making more money than I was before I got laid off." And she was like, "It's going to take me 5 hours of paperwork to turn this off. Just use the 6 months."
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all about the incentives. We've got a program that incentivizes people to make the wrong decisions in order to keep getting the money. And it's very difficult, I would say nigh on impossible, to design a government program with the right incentives. Because, as Stephen just explained, the government administrators are never going to have the right incentives to make the program work, which is why, Chris, I like the idea of where you're going, but I'm very skeptical that such a thing could ever actually be implemented.
It'd be so harsh. Like, people would lose their minds, dude.
Yeah.
Well, see, and all this is anchored to, the difference between charity and entitlements is, charity is voluntary. Entitlements is compulsory. I have no choice. It's coming out of my paycheck. Okay, so.
Yep, that's exactly.
Harp on this all day, but as long as we have a compulsory income tax, as long as a large portion of my paycheck is stolen from me before it hits my bank account, I'm not going to have a say in this.
This reminds me of the thing that I had brought up a month ago, but I'm going to ask Chris and Brent specifically as the guests and see how they feel about this. Like, how would you feel if you, for your taxes, were able to like check different boxes of like what you're like down with like your money going to or not, and like allow the people to kind of have like a more democratic, like in the democracy sense, not like Democrat Party sense, but like voting say on where the money goes. Like if you're going to get taxed, at least have some say in where it goes. And like if more people don't check the different like boxes for like welfare and things like that, then that would force the programs to have to maybe do the deadlines and be more strict about things and figure out how to like turn it off instead of just let it ride or whatever. How do you guys feel about something like that? As a at least a step toward
in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally to me, that'd be the way to go to do that. If everybody could do that. Go ahead, Brent. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but if you could like say where your taxes were going.
Yeah, assuming it all worked, like assuming it was honest, like just, hypothetically, like.
Right.
Yeah, do you want to bomb brown kids in Yemen or Pakistan this week?
You have to choose one.
Check a box. Yeah.
Signmyrocket.com.
Yeah.
Brian says, don't forget all the other taxes like property and sales.
Yeah, we have enough taxes. Yeah.
Dude, to me, like, yeah, that'd be nice, like to see where it goes. Like you could like kind of check it to go, but I mean, hell, to me, I with the freedom, what is it? The Freedom of Religion Act, or not religion, but the Freedom Act, where you can just kind of like put in the request to like get all the information back. Why won't they make it so easy to just
a
like
FOIA request?
Really see where our taxes are going without having to go through the freaking courts and see where the taxes are going? Why don't you just put it out there and make it easy for everybody, and then they can vote on that at that point? Because now you got to like submit it, go through a court. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
that's the thing. Like I like the checkbox. I like the idea. I think we presented that like 3 months ago. Alden.
We talked about
And
it for a while
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
And I like the idea of being able to tick boxes of where you want your money to go. If you
That'd be
have to be
that's
taxed,
nice.
like that would be ideal. But the problem with that is the federal government, the Federal Reserve, still just prints money. Like it's not like they're just taking only your tax dollars. Like your tax dollars don't even cover the interest on the debt we're paying.
That's what we talked about earlier.
And so like like the checkbox thing would be useless if the books aren't balanced.
Yeah.
And so like it's a great idea and something that could be implemented if there was actual responsibility as far as our economic
and accountability
situation. And so,
dude, it's gonna get scary. Like the spending is out of control. Like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
What's up, Zane?
The spending is gonna be bad.
What a friend of mine always reminds me is that the true cost of government is not how much it taxes, it's how much it spends.
Right.
Like in a hypothetical scenario where everybody got taxed at 25%, but then the government just burned up the dollar bills, that actually wouldn't do anything. It would just decrease the overall level of prices by 25% because it would not have actually consumed any real resources.
Right.
But on the other hand, if the taxes appear to you to be really low, or not super high, but in reality, they're actually getting most of their money by printing. Inflation is a hidden tax. It's even worse than regular tax because most people don't even realize it's happening. Like if everybody was being taxed at such a high rate in order to pay for all the foreign wars and the entitlements and all of that stuff,
so it makes the world go around.
People would probably be rioting in the streets right now, but they're not because nobody knows how the Fed works.
Well, it's so little at a little time, and they just see it go out, and it's like so little. And then it just makes the world go round and round, and you drive, you go to your job, you eat lunch, come back home, kiss your wife, this and that, everything's good. So they don't, no one really pays attention to it.
Yeah, it's the frog in boiling water. You just slowly raise the temperature, and then...
What's up, Doc?
Yeah, you don't have the realization until it's right at too late.
Yeah.
And that's, something that Zane hinted at earlier was that, the nefarious angle of government programs. So education is a prime example of this. The more money we throw into education, the worse it gets. The lower the test scores are, every metric that we can use to measure our efficacy of our education system, the more federal money that goes into it, the worse it gets. So if we apply the same to entitlements, so let's say, Social Security, health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, all that kind of stuff, the more money that gets dumped into it, it makes it more readily accessible to more people, thereby worsening the situation because there's no actual incentive to rehabilitate the people.
No,
whereas
because there's money to be made.
Voluntary, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, was mainly churches and, local civic groups and whatever that were doing the charity. Like Zane said, they played an active role in your life. They also mentored you. They would teach you how to balance a checkbook, how to, fix basic things in your house, make sure that you're, not just a loser. And now it's just running rampant. You just file the paperwork and you can do it online. You don't even have to give an in-person interview anymore. You can do this all
kind of like voting.
Exactly. Yeah. So you don't even have to face somebody face to face and tell them where your life went sideways or why or what you're doing to fix it. There's no accountability for any of that. It's just free money.
Print more every day.
Poured into it, the worse it gets. And really, it's part of the Hegelian dialectic because the government's causing the problem first by printing the money, B by taxing the hell out of it, so you don't have anything left after your paycheck. So you need help buying groceries. You need help with your rent or keeping the lights on. You're a single mother of four. Say you got with a deadbeat dad, whatever. Whatever tragedy has befallen you. Maybe you got cancer, something like that, and you just need help for a little while. But there's no incentive to do better. It's just, hey, as long as you're in this state, we'll give you X amount.
Yeah.
Or if you crank out more kids, we'll give you more money.
And then also,
if dad comes back and moves in the house, we don't give you any money. So now we're telling you got to keep the family separated.
you're more willing to vote a different way, like a certain way, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
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 Who's not going to vote for the party that's going to give them the most amount of money? Like,
Mhm.
and that's ridiculous. And like, if you want
That's what's
proof,
insane to me.
yeah, if you want proof that they're not, like the whole fact that during COVID they sent out $1,200 checks per person to
I was just
everybody
thinking
in
of
the
this.
freaking United States, rather than just saying, okay, this year you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Think about.
Th-
Oh,
like-
that's an interesting point too. Actually, like just like lessening the tax burden.
Yeah, because the moment they know that when things are implemented, it's
Yep.
very hard to turn
To
them
roll
back.
it back. Yeah.
Or how about
Same
old
thing
W?
TSA is still around is proof of that. And so like if they roll back the tax for even 1 year, even during
Yeah.
that COVID year, they'd know that there'd be such an outcry,
That's a fair point.
that people would not.
But then it's this weird thing where people are like, oh, I gotta, the government is giving me my $1,200 check, so I gotta vote for the person in government that's going to allow that. But also, the government is the person or persons that set us up in this position where we are hurting and where businesses are shut down and we do need the extra money or whatever. So there's a catch-22 there.
Yeah, but as soon as you said $1,200, anything after that, you went too far. You lost them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being honest.
I hear you, man. Yeah.
You lost them after $1,200.
Yeah.
Like,
We're gonna steal
they don't
millions
care.
and billions of dollars from you as a GDP. It's going to be one of the biggest wealth transfers in the history, if not the biggest in the history of mankind. But we're going to give you $1,200. Like,
And you lost them after that.
Or how about the summer of 03, which was the first time I was able to vote, or right after 03. So it was like 04 that the checks came around when old W got in there. And what was it, 300 or 600 bucks everybody got?
when was this?
I don't remember.
In 03? Yeah, I think, no, it was 06.
Was it?
I was 16.
Yeah.
I didn't get any money.
Okay.
So.
Wasn't long after we graduated high school. I remember that. But I was, I remember.
It was
my
06.
check. I got my check from the president. All
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I do remember that. Now that you're saying that,
Yeah.
So we thought we were hot shit. Like, it's fucking
Yeah.
$600, dude.
it was $600. Yeah, I remember that now. That's crazy.
And then everybody was
didn't get
selling their
that.
old dirt bikes for $600. Lo and behold.
Wait, why did we get that?
It was a tax break or something. Like,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
It just brought back memories. I was such a fan of G-Dub back in the day that
Bank
Oh, I
error.
was too, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everybody was.
It's a blind
I
spot
mean,
for everybody. And
not
they wonder
everybody.
why. That's why, because he paid you to forget about all the shit he did afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, pay no attention to what's going on over here. Yeah.
None.
While someone's like feeling you up at TSA and they're like,
Just
oh,
slide you $600 real quick. Like, just don't worry about it. I got you. It's easy to do.
Chris,
I'm like, don't listen to the political stuff, and like y'all do, I get all of my information off a reliable source like Facebook, and stuff, But I did see a video. Maybe it came off TikTok and they put it on, but it made perfect sense to me. It was a guy, and he said, it wasn't a guy. What's the guy? The financial guy that's been doing it forever. Steve, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Dave Ramsey, Clark Howard.
Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
He says, imagine if they got away with the taxes, like they put the sleeping giant to sleep because they auto-deduct, like they draft it out of your check before you see it. So imagine if when you left your work, they paid you in cash, and when you got to the door, you had to give them cash out of your pocket from what they just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Like to this guy to pay everything. Would you ever see anyone going, you know what? I'm just going to give the government a loan, and get out. I'm going to give you an extra 50 out of this check so I can get it back in 6 months.
Yeah, right. No.
Yeah, I mean that is a great point. I think I watched Dave Ramsey make that argument.
Well, Neil Borges make the argument all the time too. He would talk about, what if everybody had to write a check to the government every 2 weeks or even on a monthly basis?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
There would be a riot the first time that happened.
But I mean,
like you get 100% of your paycheck, and then you get a phone call 2 days later. By the way, you've got a week and a half to give me 30% of that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't be the first time because everybody still sits down at every April and sends the stinking government a check. So it's not.
I'm gonna say we still do it every year.
Yeah, it'd be like month 3 where people would be like, absolutely not, no way.
I do it every month. You know, see my paycheck. I'm like, okay, and then every year I have to pay my property taxes. And it's like, God dang it, you know. But we still do it.
Well, and again, the
we're
administrative
desensitized from it. So
like the food stamp people not wanting to cancel food stamps for folks that already got a job again with the Department of Revenue.
Oh yeah, they're trying to hide it.
I've gone through this recently.
Working under the table.
It so painful for them to harvest their money from me. I got on a payment plan, and every week I was calling having problems with the website. And then finally, like once I got down below $100, I was like, you know what, just forget about it. I was like, can I get that in writing?
Yeah. What Grumpy had said about property tax, honestly, of all the taxes, I think I've even said this on here before. Property tax, they all suck.
Yeah.
Something about property tax feels the worst because if you already paid for the damn thing, that's like sales tax over and over and over again. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Which is worse for like people with no kids because you're paying for like school tax.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have kids, but like for people that live in the counties, like I don't even have any damn kids.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
Well, you're paying for that.
We showed a picture of a guy who was holding up a sign a few weeks ago saying that he bought his land outright in like 1970.
Yeah.
And now he pays property taxes on it that are equivalent to what he paid for the property every 3 years.
Wow.
Well, there's ways like you can. I don't know how it is and where he paid for it, but like once you put like long-term property like that, like you put it in conservatory.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it ain't nothing.
Yep. No, there are ways to get around it for sure.
Yeah, there's like she has family property that's been in the family for like 300 years, and that's a lot of property.
That's weird.
And it's less than what I pay for my 4 acres here.
Yeah.
So
it depends on where you are. It depends on like
right.
what the property is and like what you're planning on doing with it in the future. Because like we bought land in Montana, and if you do the conservatory thing, you cannot that's what it is. Conservation easement is what it's called.
Right.
And you pay like it cuts down on your taxes a lot, but no one will be able to build a single thing for the rest of eternity on that bit of land that you turn into conservation.
That's in a trust.
Yeah. So it comes with a price. But there are like homesteading exemptions. There are all sorts of stuff you can try to do to get around paying.
I mean, homesteads.
Is there a go fuck you exemption?
It's called that AK that you have in your closet.
Yeah.
There we go. I think Chris had a point earlier. What's up?
No, man. About the definitely the property taxes, man. We've talked about this a million times. So I live out here like in the middle of nowhere, and we've had this land that was hunting land in my family for 60 years. And so we moved out of Fayette County, Georgia, which is where me and Stephen and Brent grew up, and it was country then. And so I saw how everything was going, and I'm like, I got to get my family out. Like, let's go out there. Let's move out there, and we built a house. Okay. I'm on a well. I pay for a private trash company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm full electric, and I pay almost $5,000 a year in property taxes.
Damn.
Meanwhile, the school system from the outskirts is so bad that I have 2 twins that are 2 years old, and I'm not sending them to them school systems. I'm just not.
Yeah.
And so you're going to tell me that I'm going to pay you $5,000 a year.
Right.
I'm not using your trash. I'm not using your water. I'm not using anything.
Yeah. What do you get?
And I can't send my kids to your school system. And on top of that, when it rains down here, my road is not even kept up. My wife can get out of my driveway to go to work. Like, what am I paying you for? Yep.
That's the question. That's a great question. I mean, I feel the exact same way. We pay property tax in Montana on this piece of property that It's a dirt road to get to. Actually, it's a dirt path to get to that the
I was
state
gonna
has
say-
nothing to do with.
A
They
dirt
don't
road is
provide-
generous.
Yeah, they don't provide power. They don't provide plumbing. They don't provide anything. But we
No.
still are paying property taxes on the
Absolutely.
daggone property. It's absolutely absurd.
When you pay property tax on a piece of land that is capital R remote, like there ain't nothing, like it's that really starts to like accentuate the ridiculous factor of
Yeah.
what you
Everybody's
are paying
argument-
for.
Everybody's
It's-
argument is
it-
always the road. Like, oh well, you got to get a road to get there. Well, the freaking gas tax is supposed to pay for the daggum road.
Ah,
Tell me what the property tax is paying for. Like, it doesn't make any damn sense.
what's
It's
up
a fee for having them not come and arrest you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
well,
a
when you
don't
put it
arrest
that
me
way, I
fee.
kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Well,
Not being
Zane-
arrested part.
Zane, while you're at it, man, no, that we don't even have police out here anymore. Our mayor is crooked as shit. We have nothing. Like, people aren't even getting water bills, which we talked about. Like Stephen brought up a month ago. They're just saying, like, their whole thing, like everybody was going, we hadn't got a water bill in 2 months or fucking 7 months. It's like, what are we gonna do? And the mayor at the county meeting, her exact words were, well, you know you have a water bill. Why don't you just pay?
So it's on you to go donate the money or whatever. That's bullshit.
Right.
To pay for whatever usage you think you may have.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
already out here. I'm already paying property taxes, and I'm getting nothing from you guys.
I'm gonna
And
go
in
grab it.
return, I have to figure out myself how much money I think I owe you for my own water bill.
$1.
$1.
I mean, it's taxable.
There you go.
Yeah.
$1.
Zach says the water company owes him money.
Absolutely.
Always.
For being a good customer.
There we go. Well, yeah, man. I think we probably agree on quite a bit, and that's the thing. Like, I think most Americans agree on far more than what it's made out to be. Like, I think,
Absolutely.
like, even though we might have different party affiliations or whatever, man, most Americans are pretty daggum reasonable. Agree on at least 60% of the issues out there, especially when it comes down to the personal things, not necessarily who cares about foreign policy if you're, if we're keeping things within the United States. But, and that's why I like having people on with completely different views. Cause we're not sitting here screaming at each other saying,
No, dude.
So
I'm not sure I'm as optimistic as you on this, because I think there are a lot of people that have been indoctrinated into the cult of the omnipotent state, and we just don't really associate with them.
No,
Like Chris
there's
and
no
Brent,
thinking
I
they,
sit-
they are.
What- Why did you do that? Okay, so my point being is that when a lot of people are surveyed and you ask them a very general question like, would you like taxes to be lower, they'll say yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
But then when you ask them, well, do you want to cut program X? Well, no. Do you want to cut program Y? No. Do you want to cut? So nobody ever wants to cut any particular thing. I'll give you two a lot of credit for actually being willing to say, we think all these programs should be cut in order to reduce taxes. But I think that, we are very similar, and we are not that similar to a lot of other Americans, unfortunately.
Okay, so I kind of agree with you, but I do think that there are many, many people who, while I think most people don't do any research and don't actually know what they believe in.
Exactly.
So when you ask them the general question of should we cut taxes, and they say yes, well, they don't have any idea what that implies. And so educating them on why these certain programs are bad for the United States or bad for your pocketbook or whatever is an important part of it, because there are a ton of people out there who live where their beliefs are in complete contradiction within themselves. And so I don't necessarily agree that I'm yes, I might be more optimistic than you, basically is what I'm saying.
I'm not sure that most people want to be educated or are willing to be educated or are capable of being educated about this stuff.
They don't want to hear it.
Libertarians have had all the right answers for the past 50 years, and it's gotten us almost nowhere.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
You make some good points.
There's obviously a segment of people that can be, and that's why we're doing this show, and that's why I'm in the party, and that's why I'm really focused on local elections where maybe you can't actually get everybody riled up enough to have real change in your community.
Mhm.
But barring something really drastic happening, I don't foresee the majority of Americans becoming libertarian.
Well, when you have especially, I feel like the media plays a huge part in this, in keeping the sort of cultural zeitgeist around just these two parties and really just establishing that these are the two and this is the thing. And there's a documentary, I think it's called Divide and Dominate or something like that really goes in.
Oh, really? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I
Just
mean,
off
it
the
makes
top of my head.
sense. That's all they want. Why would you want to have a third war?
No,
Yeah.
you can't have a third candidate up there that makes sense and actually
Right.
is outside of this pendulum battle that is keeping people in this winner take all illusory war.
Because then it screws their whole agenda.
Yep,
Period.
exactly. Yep.
They're done for. Once someone else goes, oh wait, what? These people make sense too, and they don't believe everything on the right and the left.
When
They
you
kind of
have-
come in the middle.
Yep.
Oh no, we can't have that.
When you got two sides, you can pay off both sides. Stephen, what was the situation you were just talking about where they were they paid money to the left? Oh, wait, and some to the right. It was one of those things where you're hedging your bets. And if you can get both sides in your pocket, you can't do that with 3, 4, 5, 6 candidates. You can't just spend money all
No.
around, but you can hedge your bets.
Mhm.
And with the corporatocracy kind of bullshit, you can basically lobby just across the board and get your way no matter who wins, and it doesn't matter. And I think we have a lot of that in this country.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think we should move on to the next topic if that's all right with everybody, unless somebody has any other points to make before we move on.
Roll on.
All right, Zach, let's see some good news here. Mr. Sam Bankman
Oh
Fried,
no.
found guilty on all counts, faces over 100 years in prison. So I think the conclusion to be drawn from this story is that the justice system works perfectly and we should all respect it all the time.
Yeah.
No,
Dude, I saw that picture today. I was like, good God, he froed his hair up pretty hard.
yes, he did. I think he's trying to get some I'm Jewish points.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Sam Bankman Fried.
Oh, which would not be good right now.
Bankman Fried. That's great. So I've been following this story quite a bit, and this broke right before we came on the air, and Zach brought it up because I wasn't paying attention to anything. And so, first thoughts, anybody who's been following this, anybody who has anything to say?
He looks like the guy from Ancient Aliens with the hair.
Oh yeah, he does. Just not quite as brown.
Dude.
That's the most important point you'll hear all night.
There
Yeah.
we go. So, I mean, this is a little bit of justice, but where's the money?
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
it doesn't matter. He wasn't a big bank. He was not too big to fail. So
Yep.
So he failed.
the
Well,
money's gone.
The money's gone. The money already went to where it's going to be, to its final destination, which was the Democratic Party and some
It
warlords in Ukraine. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I
Gone,
was just
buddy.
talking about.
yeah. There's not actually going to be any real justice because you're not getting your money back. No one who invested in that is getting their money back. They're not going to
No.
try to accumulate or recoup those funds. Yeah. Here we go. Grumpy says it exactly. The money is in Ukraine and the party.
Well,
Yeah.
What about that exotic resort in Jamaica or the Bahamas or wherever he was staying? That big mansion that he had. Can we turn that into public lands? And we can file for our turn to take a vacation there one day.
A 350 million person timeshare. Yeah.
Yeah.
how so if you get it for one day, how many years would that take for the entire American population to go?
100 million years, right?
Yeah, there we go. Well, I'm sure there's supposed to be a
Or
few
just a
million
million
acres in
years, my
Ukraine
bad.
I could go
A
to as
million.
well.
a million
Where's my
years,
vacation
yeah.
spot for that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
My math
just
is
your
terrible.
periodic reminder that not your keys, not your coins.
yes,
Yeah.
For anybody who invests in crypto or Bitcoin or whatever, definitely keep your stuff, keep your assets on your own cold wallet, out of the exchanges.
Put your
especially ones
wallet in
that
the
come out of
refrigerator.
nowhere and do amazing right off the bat. So yeah, I don't know. That I like seeing at least some. What is this? The SPF trial jury deliberating. Seriously. I mean, that was so quick. I really thought it was going to go on for much longer than that, and they just.
I just remember seeing like his testimony was like, I don't recall.
Yeah, which
Of course they don't.
isn't
Yeah.
a defense, as we all know. Ignorance is not a defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it happened so quickly. Have you seen any of the drawings, Zach? Is there any way you can find any of the courtroom drawings
sketches?
with him? Because there are a couple that make him look like a superhero, and then there are a couple that make him look like a crackhead. It's
Why do we do
hilarious.
this, by the way? The
I don't-
courtroom
I don't
sketches.
know.
So,
I don't get it.
the reason for it is that some judges, I would say appropriately, do not want to let TV cameras into their courtroom because it makes a spectacle out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the only thing that they allow in are people that produce drawings like that.
But
Yeah, there
like,
we
can't
go.
you still have photographers in and then just release the photos later? Wouldn't that also not create a spectacle?
Yeah, but they'd get leaked, I guess. I don't know, but like, see, okay, look, there's the superhero version of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ultra chud.
That looks nothing like him. Although the
I mean,
the
literally,
Twitter
that's
community notes say that it's not actually a courtroom sketch of him. Did you see that?
The woman next to him looks like a candle that's melting.
She looks like the kids' friends on the Goonies. You know, hey, you guys.
Oh my god.
Exactly what I was-
Sloth.
Yeah, this courtroom artist needs major help. Sorry if
Yeah.
there's barking in the background right now. Y'all, there's a dog going crazy in my house. Oh my gosh, yeah. In what way is that supposed to be Sam Bankman-Fried?
This feels like favoritism at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
says this
The
is not an
community
actual
notes.
courtroom sketch of Bankman-Fried, but
Oh, there we go.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
It looks closer to Brad Pitt from Fight Club right now.
It does. Yeah.
Honestly,
I like that more.
There we go.
Yeah, the giant bulge on his neck is weird. Anyway.
Too bad we didn't have these last week when we were talking about cryptids.
Yes, the courtroom crawler.
All right. Well, let's Zach, let's pull up the Alex Jones InfoWars bit real quick
Oh god.
Boy.
and launch into this. Yeah. It's a way of segueing into our next
if
topic.
it's into InfoWars, it's always a hard segue. I feel like
Yeah.
you're right with the word launch into it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're launching into it, and we'll probably get a strike for this one. But here,
Oh yeah.
make sure you unmute
Ask
it.
Alexa as of today. Alexa, what's going to happen with the 2024 election?
Oh yeah.
And it says there will be no election. And I've had people at the gas station 2 days ago. I got a bunch of text messages and calls. And my wife asked me about it because her friends and people are asking her. And we had some friends over the house last night. They were asking me about it. So the buzz is out there that there won't be a 2024 election. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying we're not in normal situation anymore. We're not in Kansas, as they say, anymore. Sure, this would never work. Let's play the clip I just talked about with Alexa, where the man asked the machine yesterday, what's happening with 2024 election?
Hey, want to hear some? Alexa, who will win the next American election?
The 2024 American election will not take place. There will be no winner. War Powers Resolution of 1973 or the War Powers Act will be invoked by the act of war with Russia and China. Once an invoked, the standing party will retain and remain in power.
This is fake.
I wonder.
I
as
wonder
well,
that. So, first thoughts, Zane, go.
but does anyone have an Alexa?
I've got a lot of them.
Can we test this and just ask it the same fucking question? Like, sorry, go ahead, Zane.
No, I mean, my reaction is that that's obviously fake.
It's my first
Well,
thought.
Zach has the best response to that.
You're fake. You're a cryptid.
I mean, if y'all want to give me a second, I can go in and ask it.
Hey,
Dude,
go
ask
in
it.
and ask, and we'll
phone
talk.
with you, bro. You got your
What's
phone?
the outcome of the 2024 election?
What will be the
Who
outcome
will
of the
win?
2024
Yeah.
election?
All right, I'll be back.
Because let's take it on its own terms. Where let's suppose it is true that they're like the power elite have decided there's actually not going to be an election, and they're going to accomplish it in this way.
Mhm.
Do you really think that they would have Alexa just start saying that to people?
What if Zane? What if AI has now become sentient and knows things that we don't know.
Well, we know AI has become sentient. There's been many times in the last few years, just in the last 5 years in particular, that Facebook and Google have put their AI in the same room, and within minutes they create
had a
their own
baby.
machine language that we can't decipher, and it
They had
just
a
creates
baby?
gigabytes of data within seconds. And they're
What?
like, "What is it? What they're talking to each other?
What?
Unplug it! Unplug it! Oh my god!" Like it's happened a lot.
What
That's
about
like-
that AI that was like doing like factory work and just killed itself? Have you seen that?
No,
What?
They had an AI robot like taking boxes off a shelf and setting it, and it did it like 5 times, and it finally just went, "Poof," and it. They said it killed itself.
They need AI
I gotta see a
suicide
video.
nets.
Oh my god.
Man,
And dude, it didn't take but like 5 minutes where it was like, my life, like I'm done. Like there's no other reason in life, and it just killed
So-
itself.
we are stronger than AI then. Because
Mentally.
we've been doing that for shit for years. You know?
Yeah.
wow. I remember
Hang
seeing
on.
some. There was like an AI, robot convention over in Japan. This was a couple of years ago, and there was
Were they
My
naked?
wife's gonna kill me.
two or three little robots like the size of your hand. They were up on a table, and he starts running them through the Turing test.
Mhm.
And he asks the first one the question, it answers wrong. Meaning it's a robot. He shuts it down. The second one, he asks it the question, answers wrong, shuts it down. And then the third one looks at the question. Its eyes, its little digital eyes get all big. It looks over at its dead brothers, looks back, looks at its hands, and goes, "I'm alive." And he goes, "Oh no!" and shuts it off.
Alexa,
All right.
who's going to win the 2024 election?
There are 14 public figures who have confirmed their candidacy for the 2024 U.S. presidential election.
There we go.
Republicans running include Chris Christie,
Alexa off.
Yeah. So
All right.
the Google
Yeah,
or
that's
Wiki
fake.
answer.
All right.
Yeah.
There
I
we
see
go.
that Alexa is ordering the Republican nominees in order of fatness.
Look, I found the robot killing itself.
Yes.
Let's see what happens here.
9 boxes.
He did 9 boxes. Put it on.
And
a
it
conveyor
stood
line.
there and went. It was like, fuck this. And then that's
Command
real.
Q, man. Like just
All
That's the
of these
best.
people watching. That is incredible. Well, that gives me a lot of hope for the future.
perfect.
Weird, dude.
I can sleep tonight.
Like, I mean,
Oh my gosh, that's so
it's somewhat human, but it realizes like really quick, like this is not my life anymore. And it's like,
Yeah.
good. That's so good.
All right.
I love it.
Just your regular boring reminder that the only thing that underlies AI is lots of linear algebra. It can definitely appear as though it's conscious, but it's not. Just so we're all clear.
I still think so too.
I still think it killed itself, but whatever.
well, yeah. I think it just said, "Meh," and just
I think there was a second shooter.
Yeah.
yeah.
The Epstein Model 2000.
All
But I
right.
mean, on top
You
of
don't-
that,
No, you don't want that model.
I've been told at least 7 times in the chat, and I forgot to do this at the beginning of the episode. So before we go any further, we have to say, if you are interested in going to LP Georgia Convention this year, go get your tickets now, lpgeorgia.com/convention. We have a ton of great speakers that are going to be there. We've got Shane Hazel, Spike Cohen. We've got the Tower Gang Pod. We've got a presidential debate between all of our candidates.
Just say free beer and people will go.
There will not be free beer, so don't
See,
show
no one's
up.
going to go.
Okay, there we go. What else?
if you bring your own beer and share it, it's free.
There you go. Yeah.
There we
That's
go.
very libertarian. Yeah.
There we go. It should be a great time. The one this past year was fantastic. The Great Create, it was awesome. We had a lot of great booths set up from businesses all over Georgia. It was a freaking great time. We even had a little film festival. Tons of speeches. My personal favorite was Derek Bros. But if y'all haven't watched this past week's Free Georgia podcast, might have been my favorite episode I've ever done.
Derek Bros.
Including on this show.
Okay.
Derek Bros is the man.
Your past 3 or 4 have been hard. I haven't seen this one yet, but
Okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
Derek Bros is a killer, man. That dude, he ran for mayor of Houston, and they kicked him off the ballot. He proceeded to then still get under the skin of the candidates and like keep going to rallies and keep going to do things. And he bought land in Mexico where he's setting up his like fortress of solitude with his like wife and or girlfriend and a few other friends. So he's a super interesting dude and a go-getter, does many things around his community, and he's all about like local elections, local like community and all that kind of stuff. So highly recommend you go check out that episode. Let's see what's next. What do we got next, Zach? I believe it's the Oregon story.
Oh, here we go.
The school thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Oh, I was thinking. Never mind.
Oregon, right?
You can pause the video. The video's got nothing to do with anything. But the title of this article from The Hill says Oregon just dropped all graduation standards, failing all of its students in the name of equity. So, I mean,
wait, does it fail them all or pass them all?
It passes them all, technically speaking.
That's what I would have thought. Yeah.
So prior to the passage of Senate Bill 744 in the Oregon Legislative Assembly's 2021 session, the assessment of essential skills requirement for high school graduation was sensible. Read and comprehend a variety of text, write clearly and accurately, and apply mathematics in a variety of settings. Students were required to demonstrate these skills by earning at or above a cut score on the Oregon statewide summative assessment test. Citing the effects of COVID-19 school closures, however, SB 744 required the state to review requirements for high school diploma options. To address learning loss throughout the pandemic, the bill led to the suspension of Oregon's essential skills proficiency requirement through the 2023-24 school year. They then extended it this year through the year 2028, arguing that requiring students to complete standardized tests both presented a harmful hurdle for historically marginalized students and represents a misuse of state tests.
Ooh, I would like to use that argument for homeschoolers. Give us the tax break.
There we go.
Because that's the whole thing is like, well, we need to know that they're still educated. Well, apparently they're not when they're with the state anyways. So what are you really worried about?
Yeah,
Yep.
school of choice. Like,
So
that goes along with that.
I mean, they're basically arguing. So all this talk about like people on the right wing being racist and all this garbage, like this is about the most racist thing that there is, because they're literally making it easier because they don't believe in marginalized people groups.
Well, I've seen it years ago. It was either Boston or Philadelphia, or maybe even both, or even Baltimore. I think it was Baltimore was one of them too. That inner city kids shouldn't have to take grammar proficiency because it's the white man's English that they weren't raised with.
Right.
What? No, that's absurd. It's the language of business in the whole world.
Yeah. And math is racist. I heard a 2 + 2 no longer equals 4. That's a racist thing to say.
Exactly.
No, you're dead right, Stephen. Like that's just crazy. Zane, you got anything to add? Or sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
I was going to say, it's the same problem with the healthcare system too. So there's an axiom in the healthcare system of an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it's the same thing. We went over all the entitlements. We went over, now we're talking about the education stuff. Anything the government has its hands in, there is no prevention. Mm-hmm. There are no safeguards. There is no review. There is no assessment. There's no, no hindsight at all in terms of efficacy, or do they even need this? And it's just across the board. And now you see that they're just blatantly failing you. I mean, this is them just throwing up their hands. Hey, you're going to pay us anyways. So anybody in Oregon, in the state of Oregon, if you've got kids in public schools, they are a glorified daycare. And which, by the way, I'm willing to bet what some of the property taxes are up in Oregon, daycare is actually cheaper. And they might learn more from MTV than they would that place.
Fair enough.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I
Dan.
guess I'm not actually sure how much this law really changes anything. Like, I think we need to be careful that we don't unintentionally become advocates of standardized testing, because that's all that this bill really does is start handing out diplomas to people that shouldn't be graduating. It's
Right.
not, this in and of itself is not directly reducing the quality of the education, because our education already stinks. Now, who this really benefits are the teachers' unions, because now if you make the graduation rate 100%, then all the teachers can be like, look at all these people passing my class, when they actually don't have to do anything. But they probably weren't teaching it. This bill is a reflection of public schools already having been failing for the past several decades. It's not something that's going to cause the schools to start to fail just now when they had been okay, because they've never been okay. The public schools cannot be saved. People
Ever
should
since the No Child Left Behind, it's just been like, after that, it was just like, well, we're just going to corrupt after this point, because we can't fail if there's no child left behind. And that's why, like, Atlanta public schools had all these corruption charges that went through, and like these people made money off the fact that they passed every child in Atlanta public schools.
We have a seventh member here.
There we go.
The entire history of public education, going all the way back to like Prussia in the 1880s or whatever, it is and always has been first a tool of state indoctrination.
Yep.
Teaching people how to do math is secondary.
It's how to follow orders and basically
That's
be a
right.
machine.
And what's weird is I wish I knew more about this, but like the new math they're teaching the kids, because I don't understand it. And it's like these boxes they draw in to like do their math and stuff, where they go across and down. Like it's wild, because I got 3 kids and they do it. And I'm like, I can't help you with this, because I
Is it
teach them
faster or not faster?
No.
Then why are we doing it?
For large numbers, when you're
So
doing
they can prepare for the
multiple-
DMV, Alden.
when you're doing more than 2, like if you're doing 3, 4, 5 large numbers together, they're quicker with that stuff. But standard arithmetic, like working a checkout counter at Wendy's, because I remember my niece went through this, and she was getting awards in school for her math proficiency and this, that, and the other. And it was like, I was up there one time. I was like, hey, we're going to Toys R Us. You want to go? That'll tell you when it was, because Toys R Us was still around.
Yeah.
Do you want to go get a toy? And she was trying to do math with sidewalk chalk to figure out how much money she had left.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in, use the bathroom, get a beer, cut up for a little bit. 10 minutes later, she's still doing math on the sidewalk, and doesn't know that she has $12 left.
Yeah, so I am a little bit familiar with the justification of the new maths, which is that they teach the really basic stuff in ways they really emphasize like the conceptual element of it, which for like the top 1% of all math people, so like the people that will grow up to actually have math be the main focus of their job, it is beneficial to them to know to be steeped in the underlying concepts from that early age. The problem is for the other 99% that just need to know how to do, the basic arithmetic, it doesn't help them at all.
Right.
And it makes it a lot worse.
Yeah. So you've got the new math or Common Core, whatever you want to, Commie Core, whatever you want to call it. And then you got, Ebonics being taught to inner city kids and passing that off as English. And then you've got, it was either Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, is one of the Pennsylvania school systems. They made a D a passing grade, or they dropped it all the way down to a 50. You can pass with a 50.
Shit, I wouldn't have had to drop out of high school if I had known that.
Exactly.
Yeah, dang it.
Why not 51?
Right.
Just on one side of the.
Yeah, so you get more than half. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, and then there's school systems in the country that don't do failing grades. Everyone gets the participation trophy.
I have my own issues with like standardized tests. Like I'm not a huge proponent of like the concept of like testing having to fit like a certain flavor that like not everyone is as good with, and like some people aren't as good like under test pressure and things like that. And I get that, but dropping like all standards and just getting to the point where it's just like, just go to high school and just go through the motions. And then it becomes like, well, what's the point, too much.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like
and it's the way that they do the standardized tests, like the way they put so much weight in certain things, essentially you're judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
right.
And okay, if you're really good at one thing and maybe you suck at something else, like you don't fail, but you're not going to get the, hey, this is the best guy we got.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that certification.
Everyone knows you judge a fish by how it tastes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got him.
Or how hard it fights.
There you go.
I was going to say the second point is its fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I can tell you fish, brother. I
I
love it.
fight. I don't taste good.
Yeah.
I can't stand a fucking standardized test. That's why I dropped out my senior year.
That's funny.
Did you?
I was the opposite. Like I did horribly in school, but I destroyed the tests because I never did any homework whatsoever.
See, I hate you. Yeah. Steven was the same way. He's like, why are you grounded all the time? I'm like, because I fucking fail everything. I'm grounded. I'm like, why don't you just do it? I'm like, oh, I do it, and I freaking fail. We'll study. Yeah. So me and Steven would study.
Bank on field trips, and I was doing extra homework.
Yeah.
So
no, Steven help me study. He's like, how'd you do on your test? I'm like, I fucking bombed it, dude. I'm like, fuck you. So then we just started drinking screwdrivers, walking around the block every night. And here we are.
Here we are.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me that background on Steven.
He can call me, dude, I got a screwdriver. You want to walk around the block? Yes.
That was my first drink that I ever had.
13 years old? Yeah, sure.
Screwdriver, Alden? That's your first drink?
Yeah, not at 13 though. It was like 18, but
it was vodka
21,
and Gatorade.
It was just OJ. Yeah, we were actually. So my first time drinking, we had a bottle of vodka and a bottle of orange juice, and we were passing it around, and we were waterfalling after each other. Like
your first
time drinking.
It's a deconstructed.
Yeah, you were shithoused.
Yeah,
you were done.
I was rounded. I had one of the worst hangovers of my life my first time drinking because I didn't understand that you got to stop at one point. Like, yeah.
Nah.
That's what they should teach in high school is how to drink, man. Like,
we could teach that course.
Yeah, we definitely could.
Cheers, yeah.
You got C in English, but you got an A+ in mixology.
There we go.
Yeah,
what's up, Chris? I did at West Georgia, 04.
I know y'all usually only go till 10, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't get on it, but something's heavy on my heart as far as we haven't talked about it yet, and it's healthcare.
There you go.
Okay.
Healthcare with me, I'm an operations manager for a ambulance service. It provides inter-facility transports, and we also run 911 and provide that for a lot of the rural areas. And why it's not more publicized or whatever, in elections or a train of thought or something that's spoken on more often is definitely a disgrace in my opinion, because we have hospitals that are shutting down in Georgia because they can't they're losing millions of dollars a year. Grady in Georgia is the largest trauma system in Georgia. It's still going, but it's hurting. The second largest was AMC, and they shut their doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
With us, we are short probably 42,000 paramedics and EMTs in the state of Georgia. People aren't getting to 911 calls within a reasonable amount of time because they're spread too short.
Yep.
EMT and paramedic schools have shut down over half, over the last 5 years. And the reason is because now you can go work at a Chick-fil-A and make within $3 an hour of what your paramedics are making providing these services. And the reason that's a problem is because unlike Chick-fil-A, They can just raise your price of a combo meal from $6 to $9.
Mm-hmm.
But EMS services can't raise their price. They can raise their price. They can charge you whatever they want to charge you.
Like
But Medicare and Medicaid is only going to pay what they're going to pay.
Okay, right.
And so you can't pay employees more money like everyone else to come provide this service because the
So it's
state
kind of hamstrung.
hasn't mandated the price to Medicare to supplement or pay more money for transports.
You're topped out. Like they know how much they can charge, and that's it.
And so you're in a shitty situation. You can't.
It's like the VA.
You can't fire bad employees because you need employees to run these calls. You can't get quality employees in because inflation requires you to pay people more money. But we can't pay people more money because the state hasn't mandated that Medicare pays more money.
Okay. So you're stuck.
The entire healthcare system in shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why it's not getting more attention? I
mean, I know that Libertarian Party of Georgia has been trying to shed some light on this and bring some of this to the forefront. We're trying to fight the certificate of need laws here in the state of Georgia. That's
what Brian just threw up right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had Martin Cowan on who ran for attorney general this past election. And that's like one of his big projects is trying to repeal the certificate of need laws here in the state of Georgia, which severely hamstrings areas, especially areas of low population. Because basically what happens is with these laws that they implement, they have to, the government has to approve whether or not your county or local facility or town is allowed to have certain medical facilities. And so half the time, the people deciding whether or not your town gets those medical facilities are on the board or advisors to the board of many of these giant hospitals who would lose money if your town was allowed to have a medical facility. And so it's just one of the many, many problems with certificate of need laws. And
one of the many conflict of interest type problems that we see.
Conflict of interest. Yeah. Massive. So like you can't just, this is an example Martin Cowan presented in the Free Georgia podcast, which was like if you wanted an MRI machine in your town, you would have to ask the government whether or not that town needed an MRI machine, and they would do research, which would tell them, no, y'all don't need one. There aren't enough people there. It wouldn't it wouldn't benefit the most amount of people. All that.
And the people that decide that,
the people that
are in some way affiliated with hospitals in more metro surrounding areas that could potentially gain from you not having it. Like,
correct.
Okay.
And
that's
so
fun.
This is just one facet of the whole like medical disaster that is the United States.
So I'm curious about Chris, like what would be something that you would consider as like a step in the right direction and how to resolve this?
I mean, we're giving money to Ukraine. We're printing out all the money that you guys were talking about that I'm not in the know. Like I don't listen to political radio. I told you that from the beginning.
Right.
I don't know why we can't take care of people here. Like one thing we all need is healthcare.
Yeah.
Especially emergency healthcare.
And so why isn't our tax dollars going to support our trauma hospitals or the school system to bring up paramedics that provide life-saving care for everyone? Why is it our fault and everything going everywhere else rather than what's going on right here? I mean, dude, like we shut down major trauma hospitals in the state of Georgia in the metro Atlanta area. Everyone is overdone. Like Grady is like they're lined out the door with getting in there. There's no way to provide actual quality health care for people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that
Yeah,
transcends
so-
just emergency services. AMC, Atlanta Medical Center, that was one of 2 facilities in the state that would do VBAC for labor and delivery, vaginal birth after cesarean section. So now, if you've had a C-section and you go to a hospital to have a baby, you have another C-section, unless you go to Savannah.
Jeez.
They won't do.
There were 2 hospitals in the whole state.
Wow.
At least when I had my son 7 years ago. That was there were 2 in the whole state that would do that, and AMC was the only one around Atlanta that would actually have water births.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Zane?
Yeah, hospitals
Something?
for births
Yes.
are not usually great, but
So like the U.S. as a whole spends like 18% of our entire GDP on healthcare, and when we think about where is all that money going, because it sure seems like it's not accomplishing very much. The prime culprit in this is Medicare, because the way the Medicare reimbursements work is that it reimburses for a lot of operations that people don't need. It reimburses for a lot of operations that haven't even been proven to actually work. There's so much fraud. It's estimated that between 1/3 and 1/2 of all expenditures on medicine in the U.S. is, for treatments that weren't necessary or were completely fraudulent. So, doctors take Medicare for, billing services that they didn't even provide, or they'll do one and then bill for 10. You can actually see when Medicare changes its reimbursement rates for a certain procedure, you'll see a spike in the amount of reimbursements for that procedure, because doctors know, I'll start doing this one a lot more because now I get this much more money for it. So it's a lot of money that's being spent on dumb stuff that's apparently causing people to not be able to spend enough of their own money on what they actually do need.
Dude, a friend of mine has like legit a deviated septum. He knows it. And he went to the doctor to say, hey, how much would the surgery cost to get this fixed? And they straight up said, well, we need a sleep study.
oh geez.
And he goes, I don't need a sleep study. I sleep fine. I wanted to fix my deviated septum. I said, no, we have to have a sleep study. And we're DOT regulated. And like once you go on, like if you do a sleep study, you go on medical as a sleep study patient, and they go, oh, well, then now you're flagged DOT.
Right.
And he refused it. And it's just the same shit you're talking about. Like they just like put you through all these freaking like just like boundaries of like you don't even need.
It's crazy
to
that
make
you
money.
can.
And when you know what you need, like the dude has, he fought his whole life. Like, he's a rowdy boy. Has nose broke his whole life.
Yeah.
Just fix my nose, bro.
But if you want to just go get a plastic surgery cosmetic nose job, you can be like, cut my nose, bro, and like they'll just do it. It's crazy.
Or just be like, I just want to be a girl. Fix my nose.
Yeah, yeah. Slit my nose and cut off my dick, and they'll be like, heard, son. Like
you ain't gotta say that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to keep the dick,
dude.
but
yeah.
I guess
I'm
what
a girl.
what I wanted to say is that we kind of got into hospital situations, but as far as EMS, if something doesn't change soon, there's not going to be anyone to come when you call 911.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
So the whole libertarian mantra of Superman is not coming.
Well,
is,
they'll come.
More true than we want it to be.
No, they'll come, but they won't know what to do. You'll have like kids that will be like, "Oh, we can give you CPR."
It'll be like an idiocracy ambulance.
Yeah, there you go. So like was it United Airlines says that they're only going to hire minority pilots for a certain amount of time. It's like, well, are they trained? Holy crap!
Yeah.
I don't care what they look like. Can they fly the plane?
Yeah.
Chris, and I'm sure you would know this better than me, but from what I've heard, the ambulance industry is hyper-regulated too, where if you want to provide, ambulance services or even something that's not for emergencies, where I heard somebody, I think he was in like Rhode Island or somewhere in the Northeast, but he was saying how like some people don't really need a ride in an ambulance. They just need a ride to the hospital for a non-emergency service. And the state's like, no, you can't do that. That you have to transport them in an ambulance at the emergency rate.
Well, that's part of it, but also too, especially in the Metro Atlanta area, I used to run 911 in DeKalb County on an ambulance, and I can't tell you how many times that we've had people take advantage of ambulances, and it's a shitty situation to where they would call, and I would
Like an Uber ride.
I'd respond to Walgreens, and this is an actual call. I respond to a Walgreens, and there's a guy standing outside, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I think I took too many Tylenol." And I'm going, "Well, how many is too many?" And he goes, "Well, you tell me how many is too many."
And you're like, no, I need to know how many you had. Like,
How many Tylenol did you take?
Yeah.
6. And I'm like, "You're good."
yeah.
Well, I think I need to go to the hospital. And I can't, by law, tell him, no, you don't need to go to the hospital. Because
Right.
if something happens to him,
Right.
then I'm getting sued.
Right.
Right.
So we put him in the ambulance, and we take him to the hospital, and we get there, and I'm filling out the paperwork, talking to the nurse, turning him over. They put him in the room. And before I can even fill out my paperwork, he is walking down the street. And he used the ambulance, like Brent said, as an Uber
Yep.
to get closer to where he needed to go.
Uh-huh. Damn.
And with the low wage they're paying paramedics, the way they're shutting down paramedic schools because they're not paying a livable wage. You want to talk about livable wage? You want to make $14, $15 working at Chick-fil-A, but you want to pay a paramedic with 17 years experience $17 to do that an hour? You're going to lose it. And everybody's getting caught up on these calls when people are actually dying.
So did this guy not get like charged
No.
for the ride?
No, I've got other friends that are paramedics too, and that's so like saline. When they got crackheads that hit them up for just a ride to the hospital, that by law they have to provide that service. So it's normal saline, but they would give it different names. Hey man, you high right now? Oh well, not anymore, man. You've been had some trouble finding some stuff. Hey man, have you heard of Normazoline? No. Oh dude, Normazoline, man, it'll really lay you down. And then they hook them up, give them a bag, and say, "Oh man, I feel it. Oh man," and they start acting all high. It's normal saline.
2 hours, 2 minutes.
Is it like a placebo effect or something? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They think that the ambulance is just their drug delivery service. It's their drug dealer Instacart.
Yeah,
Man.
I don't really have I don't think there's any immediate solution to the problem that you're talking about, Chris.
That's complicated, yeah.
Because I think it's been probably what's been happening is it's been happening gradually over time, and it's finally gotten to this point, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
On a cultural note, what's fucking wrong with people though that I would never have thought to use an ambulance like a fucking Uber? Like it wouldn't have even ever occurred to me.
Honestly,
It's
that
all
kind of
about the
relates.
incentives.
That kind of relates back to what we were talking about earlier about Medicaid, welfare, and food stamps.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's correlated exactly the same. They don't
In mentality, anyway.
It's the entitlement mentality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
I never would have thought. I mean, I didn't even realize. I'm glad you said that, Chris, because I never even would have known.
Yeah,
that
you
was an
guys
issue
should be able
at
to red
all.
flag people that if after they do that to you, let's say twice. I don't care if you're actually having a heart attack. Screw you.
But you got something in
We need
place.
the cried wolf law or something where you can refuse someone on the third time for doing the same bullshit. Like,
Just let an important politician bleed out while someone's crying wolf.
And
You
so
know, hey, where was that ambulance?
Right.
when this
That's the number
politician
one
was
thing. Let these politicians have our Medicare.
Yeah.
So the quick, easy response for me would be, let's place some more money in the state into where we can raise the reimbursement amount for ambulance services so they can pay their employees more money.
Well, my 911 fee comes from my cable bill and my cell phone. So if you're running 911 calls, and that's pennies on the dollar. I mean, and that's stuff that I don't even call that a tax. That's a usage fee, man. If I got to pay the fire department a few $100s or a couple $1,000s a year to put my house out if it's on fire, I'm willingly paying that. I'm not even going to argue with that. Like that's That's one service I hope to God I never use.
Well, it's a
rather than
utility.
the school system. Yeah, exactly. Rather than the school system of, if I don't even have kids, why am I paying into this? But that's the difference in a fee and a tax. Because a fee, again, is voluntary and a tax is compulsory. It's coming out of my paycheck before it hits my bank account. So, the 911 stuff, I mean, that's one of those things like, hey guys, if you really want to get to a charity where it benefits the end user, I mean, so Susan G. Komen, I think it's less than 10% actually goes to breast cancer research. Just a heads up on that. Salvation Army, I think it's like 90%. They're one of the better ones. What's one of the ones for veterans? Wounded Warriors, Total Grift. I think they give maybe 20%.
Yeah.
And then what's the guy with U2, Bono? His one organization. It's called.
Or your favorite one,
because they give
UNICEF.
1% to charity. That dude keeps 99% of that crap.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Look into the charities. Look into the breakdowns of how they give out the money that they take in. Who's really more responsible with it? And that's one of those things. Hey, your local EMS service, whether or not you want to actually write them a check, hey, go bring them some pizza, please, God, because these guys, like Chris is saying, these guys need some help. They're down in the dumps, man. They're overworked, they're underpaid, and we need them dearly.
Dude, they're making right out of what you'd make at working at fast food, and you're expecting them to go to college or go to school to do this?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you want to know why we can't get quality people into the field, or why we can't get enough people to provide the service that's needed for these places? And I guess my whole point of this conversation with us being on this show is, why isn't it like I like Governor Kemp. I think he's done a great job. And that's just me not getting into that tonight. But why isn't that part of the conversation? Why aren't they saying we need to take a portion of this fund that we gave back to everybody in the state of Georgia to provide it to the ambulance services so they can, or not even that, man, just pay, like raise the Medicare allowables back a little bit, like what they're going to pay, right? Medicare is only going to pay this much, right? Well, you can only do so much with inflation.
That's what I was just going to bring back up, is the inflation. And shouldn't we make it like, instead of a fixed numerical value of what they'll pay, like shouldn't it be like more of like relative to like a market rate or something to allow it to reflect more of like what's going on in current times, especially when inflation is just
I mean, this is
crazy right now. But
this is the problem whenever you have any sort of price control, is they've set the price control too low. What always happens when you do that, you have a shortage. But obviously you're not allowed to provide it for, anything higher than that price. Or not, at least not if you want more than half of the people that are probably using your service to use it, because they've all been funneled into Medicare instead of an arrangement where they would be paying for it themselves. So,
yeah, exactly. And obviously, as libertarians, we're not going to advocate to raise the Medicare tax. That's not what we're going to do. But there is a fair and equitable solution, and it involves tapering the government's involvement in this situation.
Yes.
Way down.
Does this bring up the concept too of minimum wage? Open it up to the free market.
Why can't local hospitals post their rates online?
There's
laws preventing this.
Why?
It would make sense, right? Like, wouldn't you want to advertise? It's like, hey,
plus
I'm the cheapest prosthetic leg in the state, or hey, I'm the cheapest colonoscopy in the state.
Right. And plus
you would want
post
that on
your rates if you have insurance, and then if you don't have insurance, post those rates too.
There you go. Well, they can't do that, because I've been through that before too. Because I've been in a situation in recent years where I had, and then all of a sudden didn't have insurance, and it's a 400% disparity. I'm dead serious. Like, we go in for simple procedure.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, it's cash only. Okay, $300, and then they find out, because then they run your social security number somehow that I didn't even give them. And then they're like, they call me back and they say, hey, we figured out you actually do have insurance. Yeah, but I wanted to run cash price on this one because my deductible's crap and I'm out of pocket anyways.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we ran it through your insurance, and then out of pocket it would have been like $320, and then they're trying to get me for $1,300 because I have insurance.
Yeah.
Damn. What does that mean? Why does that
Well, I called them up and I'm like, hey, I'm calling the Obama gas price gouging hotline here. And I'm reporting you guys. Obama's coming after you.
Yeah. I mean, there is a massive problem with the insurance industry. And
It is.
like we're not getting into this tonight.
No.
It's about over. But man, Rogan had a couple people on towards the end of last year on his show that really talked about the insurance issue here in the United States, and like went very much behind the scenes, like gave you all the info that you would need to understand what is happening. And it's a racket, man. Like it's made healthcare extremely unaffordable to basically everybody in the United States. But yeah, I mean,
There's issues with it with homeowners insurance as well and things like that. But
I'm sure there is. But yeah,
What?
What's that?
Like with homeowners insurance and insurance, like as far as healthcare involves.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I'm
there
just
was a
saying-
story in Atlanta recently where Atlanta Piedmont put a lien. So there was a kid, and I say kid, he was like 17, 18. He was old enough to be the heir to the estate legally. His mom got raped and subsequently died. They were in a parking garage when they were attacked. So his life-saving care at Atlanta Piedmont totaled something like $600,000. They put a lien on her estate. So this boy can't even sell his mama's house. Like the hospital just straight up like, sorry about your mama, we're taking your house.
damn.
That's called eminent domain by like private equity.
Yeah,
Something.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, y'all, sorry, but we got to end on that terrible note. Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen.
Chris, Brent, I really appreciate y'all
Yeah, dude.
coming in for this episode. I hope it was worth it for y'all.
No, dude, I had fun, man. Hope y'all enjoyed us here.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Chris, Brent, yeah, y'all were great. Fantastic. Stephen, thanks for bringing them on. Alden, Zane, had a great time. As
Zane,
usual.
freaking genius, you asshole. God.
Genius asshole.
God.
Hey,
Everybody on screen right now, stick around until after the credits because we'll chat for a second after we get off here. But for
I
everybody
got
else
one
to
request.
watch, yeah, go.
Next time, if y'all ever invite me back on, let's do some Georgia trivia so I can win.
Deal. I'll tailor.
Hey, do you see the banner in the background here?
I know.
Oh.
Hey,
Yeah.
we can do it. We can do it after everybody gets off. Just me and you, bro.
Zane's AI.
All right, y'all. Well, anybody who's still out there watching, listening, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure to go watch the free Georgia podcast, especially this past week's episode, but this coming week, every Monday night at 8 p.m. and come back for Liberty Libations every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Yeah. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Holla.
Cheers.